Damn, I got booty for days in this picture.
Oh shit, look at those cakes.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast, your bi-weekly podcast that delivers an episode-by-episode breakdown of the original G1 series. This is episode number 135, where we will be tackling episode number 29, the Insecticon Syndrome. And you know, instead of considering a fabulous intro a mandatory thing that I do, I think you need to think of it as a really nice sometimes gift, like when your father brings ice cream home from work, or comes home at all.
My dad would... You're saying your dad would bring ice cream home from work?
If he came home at all.
Did he work at an ice cream parlor?
He's a soda jerk.
The conceit is that, you know, if you had a present father in your life,
all right,
that perhaps every now and again he might surprise the family with ice cream.
Okay, that's different than bringing it home from work, but I understand.
This is like Ryan Jet level prescriptivism.
I'm just saying it confused me. I want to know more about your dad bringing home ice cream from work.
I want to know more about my dad.
Period.
Are you my real father?
Welcome to the show. This is Aaron.
This is Ryan.
And I am Caleb.
Caleb.
I had a father growing up.
Good for you.
Where's he now?
He is working. Hopefully, he's working at the ice cream plant and is going to bring some home.
Ice
soon.
cream plant.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, a Cold Stone is kind of an ice cream plant. They make it right there.
They mix it there. Do they
make it there?
I think so.
All right.
We'll have to do some investigative journalism at a Cold Stone Creamery. Are you liars?
Quit trying to act like you're the source of everything that is sweet and good and creamy.
Delicious ice cream, though. We had some delivered the other day.
From our dads.
Yep.
I didn't
Brought it
have
home
any.
from work.
Caleb, speaking of family members, we need an update on your 100-year-old aunt. We've been getting listeners just sending us letters. Whatever happened? She was going to take her driving test.
Not even emails. We're getting physical letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an 100-year-old aunt. If you do recall on the collab that we did with More Than Meets the Pod, we went by there to celebrate her 100th birthday. We drove by. It was good. And
You did one of those COVID birthday trains.
Yep. And then later on, she was going to take her driver's test because her driver's license expired. And we were eagerly seeing the results of her driver's test because she's 100 years old. So, long story short, she did not take it.
Oh.
She chickened out. She
Not like that characterization.
My mom took her to show her where the parallel parking portion would be. And I guess on the way home, she was driving home and she was at an intersection, couldn't see well, and someone honked at her and it rattled her, and she decided that she wasn't going to go and take the driver's test. So she did not go take it. She didn't attempt. There was no attempt. Okay. So it's kind of, I'm sorry, anticlimactic. She did not attempt to take it. And so
she had passed a visual test.
She somehow had passed the visual test.
Which so she had to follow up and do the driver's.
Sounds like she slipped him a 20.
Yeah, so now my mom is pretty much driving her around everywhere. And as a matter of fact, yesterday my mom went over there to help her with a garage sale.
Is your mother happy about this development?
My mom, not really. I mean, my mom drives her around a lot anyway and helps her out.
Because in my mind, when you said that your mother and her went to see the parallel parking thing, in my mind it was like Goodfellas, where she takes her to see a grave and is like, "You sure you want to take that test? Maybe a little bit. Maybe you don't take that test."
My mom was just doing her due diligence to show her where it was, and so. But now, for example, my mom does other things for her, she had a garage sale, and a lot of the stuff in the garage sale was just kind of garbage or overpriced. And so when Lavinia would go into the house, my mom would just take some parts of it and just throw it in the trash.
Ooh.
And so, but anyway, I mean, Lavinia's still alive and kicking, doing well. She She didn't go take that driver's test.
Do you think she'll ever take it?
Not
Is
at this
driving
point.
out of the equation?
Probably out of the equation. I don't think it's gonna happen. So, kind of bummed to see.
A little bittersweet. I was excited for her.
She's better off not driving,
Right.
but it would have been cool to see her like actually, technically and legally get that driver's license.
Yeah, I'd have liked her to have gotten it, but maybe still just went ahead and let your mom help her out
exactly.
a little bit.
Sorry.
I wish I hadn't brought it up. Actually,
No, you're
now.
fine. That People, inquiring minds want to know, and that's the result.
That story is kind of like a.
It actually it ended the way it probably should have ended.
I would have liked to have ended with like a 40-car pilot, but no injuries.
I'm just trying to imagine like why it would be a 40-car pileup.
She's driving to Mexico.
No, I think shame. If it's a 40-car pileup, then I wouldn't say shame on her. Shame on those other 39 cars that just probably also should not be on the road.
Listen, people don't know. You got to keep that car length 10 feet per 10 miles
Yeah.
per hour.
How's your van doing?
Oh, so yesterday.
Oh yes, we need a musical tag for van updates.
Speaking of responsible drivers, how's your,
I am a very responsible driver, first of all.
do you have a responsible vehicle?
It operates. It passed inspection. I yesterday drove it for the first time in weeks, and the only reason I've been driving it is just to air up the tires or to keep the battery charged since like March. So I drove it for the first time at any distance last week. It has redeveloped a slow coolant leak, so I have to put in like a half. If I were driving it every day, I'd only have to fill it up probably once a week, but it's slowly
Coolant.
Yeah, like one container of coolant a week.
That's
a lot.
That's not good.
Well, before I had Aaron, your sister's husband, help me fix it like a year and a half ago. It was one of those a day. So now it's redeveloped a
crazy.
slow link. But since I drive it so infrequently, I have to put in like a half bottle anytime I want to go somewhere because it's going to slowly leak out over the next couple weeks. So yesterday I loaded up all the glass recycling because in Springfield you can recycle everything in one bin except they don't take glass. They don't pick up glass. So you have to take the glass.
Figure that out, Springfield. Come on.
They used to take it. I don't know why they stopped. But we have to go to the recycling center to take it. So I went on lunch yesterday and took it to the recycling center. And so it also has some electrical problems. Like I think there's a short in the system somewhere because sometimes my windows will roll down and sometimes they won't. Okay. And so yesterday they did and they were working because I tested them. Like it rolled down a little bit and I rolled it back up and it seemed to work. And then so I was like, cool, because it was kind of warm. So I rolled it down and then
your air conditioning doesn't work.
Well, not only that, the vents don't work at all. Like the blower doesn't blow anything. Okay. So on the way home, I had the window about halfway down. I'm about turning into my street, and I click the thing, and it just nothing happens. Nothing happens. And we've had rain all this week, and so when I get home, I keep trying to. I turn it on and turn it off. Keep trying to work. It doesn't work. Eventually, I tried physically pulling the window up. I may have broken it.
How did that work?
Well, because it popped out of the frame.
Yeah.
And then I kind of crammed it back down and just like looking around like nobody see. And so it's still about a quarter of the way down. And so I just had to take some plastic and shut it in the door to cover it. Well, I'll test it when I get home and see if it'll roll up. But
so sad.
I need a new car.
Entertaining though. I'm fascinated. Yeah.
When you get a new car, you need to keep the van though. You need to.
For fuck's sake, why?
I mean, you're not going to get more than a $5 trade-in value for it, so you might as well because of the nostalgia.
I'm sure somebody would buy it for parts.
If I had the room, I would just buy it and keep it around for posterity and just see what we could do with it.
Because there's a bunch of shit that still works on it.
I think we should.
Like the engine.
I think we should upgrade it, soup it up, make it the APDC wagon, and take it to cons.
Yeah, give me your money.
Is the mattress still in the back?
No, it's in the garage. But right now,
the garage is clean.
It is true because
You cleaned it?
Yeah, West and I did because we're putting all her exercise equipment out there. We actually went yesterday and bought a exercise or like a basically like one of those mats that you either put in horse stalls or like truck beds or whatever, and we're making that the floor for underneath the exercise equipment.
Interesting. Yeah, your garage, when I saw it last, reminded me of a horse stall because there were so many leaves and brush that had blown into the garage.
There was a horse in there.
You guys just walk on the debris and it just tramped it down. So there was like the floor of the garage just kind of had a layer of crushed leaves and branches and stuff.
Maybe some morel mushrooms up in that bitch.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure there's a mold issue. So you cleaned that out.
Yeah, it's all cleaned out. It's pretty like empty right now.
I'm kind of bummed. I was hoping that you guys would give up. I want that weight.
Nope, she's gonna use it. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
We're gonna and this like I'm off the first. I took the week of the Labor Day off, and I joined that in Springfield. We have a tool share library where you can go and rent tools for $20 a year. You can rent tools out for 1 week at a time, and I'm gonna rent a pressure washer and clean off all the house and the deck and everything.
That's worth it. But when I found out about that tool library, I researched
being
some
a
of
dick.
the tools that they had. You have such difficult to acquire tools as a flathead screwdriver.
Yeah.
I will commend them that they do offer everything.
It's a good thing. It was just.
I wish
funny
I'd
to
have known
me.
about it sooner. I probably wouldn't have bought some of the things I own.
It's probably good that you just own like a screwdriver.
Not that. I'm talking like an 18-foot ladder.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's like $200.
Yeah.
don't-
Can you rent a van?
No.
Can you rent tools to fix your van?
If one is knowledgeable, yes. I won't be doing that.
Ryan,
Yay. Huh?
mix something up.
It's good. Yeah,
Put it on the glass.
I don't. All right. This is the Cerebro Shell Gin Sling from page 45 of Jigger Beaker and Glass. I'm not very good at naming things, so that's what I came up with.
It's good. The important thing is you're good at making the drinks.
That's right. In the book it says, "We met this in 1926, and thereafter never forgotten. The Singapore Gin Sling is a delicious, slow-acting, insidious thing." This is 2 parts gin, 1 part cherry brandy, 1 part Benedictine. Shake it for a moment or stir it in a bar glass with 2 large lumps of ice to chill. Turn into a small 10-ounce highball glass and fill to individual taste with club soda. Garnish with a peel of lime. And I actually did do a little bit different on this one. I used some lemon salt on one side of the rim and some watermelon sugar on the other side.
What is Benedictine, Ryan?
It's an herb liqueur. I mean, I can't remember all the flavors that are in it, but yeah.
All right, well, cheers.
Let's cheers it.
And so I left some room where you could also try it without any of the accoutrement, the sugar or salt. You know, it's kind of 3 different experiences.
I like the salty experience.
I'm going to try the sugar side now. Also good. Yeah, this is nice. It's like I can experience 2 drinks at once.
I like this one a lot.
Wow, it really is a different experience.
Refreshing. This
Both
could,
delightful.
if I could add even more soda water to this, and I could get really fucking hammered on that. I'm pretty sure I could drink that all day.
It also said in the book, in other ports they use ginger ale or ginger beer, and I use club soda in this one because I found it to be cleaner. And ginger beer, I do love it, but it overpowers like these kind of subtle liquors.
That's true. I agree. Ginger beer is great, but yeah, it would just become the dominant force.
Yeah. Great job.
Thanks.
Great selection.
I'm good at things.
Did you give a backstory on this one? Oh, the ports. I'm around.
Met in 1926, and
Okay.
thereafter never forgotten. The Singapore Gin Sling is a delicious, slow-acting, insidious thing.
Never forgotten
figure
until
out-
right now.
And I'm gonna
Never listen.
I'm gonna watch Aaron for the slow acting part because usually like you'll see him talking and Elson he'll
This is the second episode.
down.
It is weird. Like, I don't know why, but whenever I describe the drink, you never listen to that part.
I don't know if it's the way you read it or if there's just so much or if I'm just
No,
mentally trying to prepare
He's
for
just
the next
looking
thing.
at the drink. He's just looking at the drink, being like, "Homina."
I hesitate to say this, but there's no way to go forward without it. Apparently, I didn't write a last episode recap for this one.
It's fine.
But you know what happened is that
Oh, wait.
it was ACOM. Nobody wants to remember that. So let's move forward.
4.5 quadrillion Danny DeVitos.
I'm Caleb.
Ryan.
Yeah.
We're
Gives
gonna
a shit. This is going to be a great one.
let's cover episode 29 from season 2, The Insecticon Syndrome, written by Douglas Booth. fan
Yeah, I like
favorite,
most of his.
and animated by Toei.
Fucking thank God Toei is back in the saddle. This is like having
It is night and day.
a steak dinner after just eating like a bucket of shit and a punch in the face.
What kind of restaurants do you go to?
Shit bucket.
I love Shit Bucket.
Shit Bucket Steakhouse. It'll use
Please.
its full formal
I
name.
heard
It's already digested in shit steak.
They're opening a Shit Bucket here in town.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a chain? Ugh, I'm out. Never mind.
I hope that they get a truck. Are they on Grubhub?
Hey, before we get into that, Caleb, also talk real quickly about the thing that you sent us the other day in text that a buddy of yours bought.
Oh, just really quick. Okay, so I've got a cousin that runs a catering business. He had purchased this thing called an MKT. It's literally stands for Mobile Kitchen Trailer. If you Google Army MKT, you'll find them. The military has a habit of overbuilding, and then they have too many of them, and they surplus them out. So there's this trailer it's a trailer, and it unfolds into this basically this tent on a trailer, and within the tent is like all these ovens and griddles that you hook up to, propane or whatever. And there's like stairs leading up to it, and you can run a goddamn chow line through it.
There's stairs on either side. I mean, I guess that's
'cause
specifically
you
what
just
it's for.
go
the way it
through the
works,
line.
the kitchen's in the middle, and then there's a walkway. There's a metal walkway that unfolds that goes around the kitchen itself. So, and it's all also it can be all enclosed, for bugs and shit. And you go up one side stair, walk around it, and down another stair, so you can run a chow line through it. And
Yeah, it's basically a mobile cafeteria
It is.
with mosquito netting around it.
That's it. What was amazing is that when I saw it, I'd heard about it. It's really big.
It's
like,
pretty impressive.
It's like, I don't know, like 20 by 20 or something like that.
When it's unfolded, yeah.
When it's unfolded. And surprised to find that you can get these for relatively cheap.
That was what I was going to ask. And did it come with all the equipment?
All of that. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Some of them you can buy, and they come with when they buy them, they're stocked with tables and cutlery and
food.
And customers.
Yeah, I've seen these now on military surplus sites for ranging anywhere from like $1,500 to $2,000.
What?
They're always under $2,000.
That kitchen equipment itself.
Yeah.
Like
For sure.
Any of those pieces of kitchen equipment would be over $2,000.
There's multiple ranges in it. There's multiple cooking ranges in it. Stoves. I don't know if I didn't get in there close enough to see if there's like refrigerating units in it or anything like that.
Probably down below.
Yeah, but
you could just buy this and sell off the equipment.
Yeah. Flip it.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the flipping the military equipment
But
business.
it's good for catering. I really liked Aaron's idea of like having a concept pop-up called the Chow Line, where you roll up and you're selling whatever you sell. In my opinion, you should stick with the military theme. You should set up like
MREs.
you could set up set up a mash tent next to it, like a tent. People come in, they go through the Chow Line, and they get like it's going to be better than that shit, but you're selling basically like whether it's barbecue or fried goods, and then like sides.
We'll have USO shows.
I think Aaron and I bought you an MRE whenever I went.
Still have it.
Went to.
It's in my danger
I like the
room.
idea of the cooks though also like calling people maggot, like, and, being it's very.
Did the cooks do that though?
No, no. But I'm just trying. You know where I'm going.
It'll be
with
like
this.
that hot dog stand where
the-
they abuse the customers.
It's called the Chow Line, and I like that.
That's pretty good.
So
How come every cook in a military or chuck wagon trail situation is always nicknamed Cookie?
Cookie.
and
Cook.
they're and they're dirty looking. You know
They're
what I mean?
the people you don't want handling your food.
They're grimy. Yes, they're grimy. No, it's true. Even on MASH,
And they're all
television show,
drunks.
Well, you
They're
got to do
salty.
something.
They're salty. One way or another, they're salty. Random tangent.
I'll put the picture up
They're
and I'll tweet it
fucking
out.
really
It's
cool.
pretty awesome.
I think that there should be a transformer called
Cookie?
called Chow Line. It's Cookie or Chow Line, and it's a transforming MKT.
For what purpose?
For
Like, who are they feeding?
Energon, man.
well, who cares? I mean, you're asking that question after everything we've seen. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, back to the bots. We open up with a killer soundtrack piece. We see a fast dirt run between Hound, Bumblebee, and a new character.
What?
Beachcomber.
The grooviest of the Autobots.
And Beachcomber is a real mellow kind of fellow. He gives Jazz a run for his money when it comes to his bebop linguistic style, but Spike and a park ranger are riding inside Beachcomber. The team makes its way to a clearing in the forest.
That's Ranger Jeff.
Well, we'll get to that. We don't know who he is right now.
Oh, true.
But they find a clearing in the forest, a decidedly unnatural-looking clearing, because this place looks like it has been ravaged, not by Ravage, but by Insecticons.
I think this is interesting because I believe we talked about this way back in A Plague of Insecticons. Since the Insecticons have been on Earth all this time, essentially arriving from a Decepticon escape pod, they must have also learned to adapt to eat the less efficient fuel on Earth, which is like plant matter and stuff like that. Like the panda. It's the only herbivorous bear, which evolved to eat bamboo. That is one theory that the reason that it's so hard to get them to reproduce is it is an evolutionary side effect of the fact they eat bamboo, which is very nutrient inefficient but plentiful. But they reproduce very slowly so as not to oversaturate the carrying capacity of the environment.
That makes perfectly good sense to me.
And they're so cute.
They are.
Are they aggressive?
Not really, but they can be if
They do if you punch them.
if you like fiddle with their butthole. They don't like that.
I wonder if there's a connection between carnivores and aggression. Is where I was going with that. I mean, you think about dinosaurs and brontosaurus. No fuck with motherfuckers.
There are very few pacifist carnivores.
So, Jeff.
Yes.
One question I had about this scene: do you think it makes Bumblebee jealous that now there's a new cool Autobot on the scene that the humans are all riding in? Does that make him feel
It
away?
is weird that
Probably.
that the Ranger is just riding in the Autobots as opposed to his own Jeep.
Yeah.
Right. And I find it curious that they get on the scene where the Ranger didn't suspect that there was Insecticon or Decepticon interference. He just saw something weird out in the forest, and he called on the Autobots to check it out.
Right.
So my impression is, are there people all over the world just saying, this looks weird?
Like they're called out to crop circles.
This looks weird. Let's call on the Autobots to make it. And this one coincidentally happened to have a connection with the Decepticons.
Yeah, we need to see more plot lines where the Autobots are called out and it had nothing to do with the Decepticons.
Well, that's why they aired this one, because all the other ones are just like, this isn't the Decepticons at all. This is just a sewage problem.
So many unaired episodes of just like that it has no connection.
Autobots getting cats out of trees.
Yeah, or I don't know. What do you think about this? I don't know. It seems like these trees are dying of ash borer. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
Or like they're called out.
We're not
like
from
ash
here.
borer.
We're not familiar
We don't really
with your
know.
natural.
Yeah, probably should call
environment.
your local.
It must be mechano ants.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he did call the Autobots this supernatural race of creatures, when they offer up the Insecticon explanation, he is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Could you play
You're
his
crazy.
reaction, because it is hilarious. He is so incredulous.
There's a couple reactions I gotta try and capture.
Well, it's like
And I'm not talking termites. I'm talking big creatures. Real big.
But that's ridiculous. What kind of animals can devour trees this size?
Not animals. Insecticons.
Yeah, and it's when we come back.
Yeah, when we get back, we'll get another hit of disbelief.
we see that the Insecticons here are foragers of sorts.
When we first saw the Insecticons, they had a ship that they were living in that was very of the technology of their times, but now they've rooted to insect-influenced roots in terms of how they build a new base for themselves. It's a creepy, just gross hive situation.
It fits their nature as bugs.
Right.
They've really embraced that. I commend them for that. We talked last week about my foraging interest, my
I feel like that was 2 weeks ago, but I do remember talking.
Last episode.
It seems like it was so long ago.
Previous episode.
We didn't have a recap, so who knows what happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
Damn.
But-
it is always my fault somehow or another.
I'm taking the opportunity because you've got the Insecticons feeding on trees, just taking big chunks out of trunks of trees.
Fucking redwoods,
Apparently
majestic ass
yeah.
trees.
That I was like, okay, I'll use this opportunity to also kind of segue into my growing interest in foraging. And foraging is kind of a growing trend, but it's been around forever. It's getting more attention these days. where foraging has to do with going out and finding wild plants and again recognizing or rediscovering that they have qualities that you can eat them.
But not only just like be edible, but like also some of them have medicinal properties.
Qualities. That's right. So taking advantage of the flora and fauna around you, and incorporating it into your diet, into your practices for medicine, health in general. So I went on a foraging excursion a few weeks ago here in the Ozarks where we are. So learned a number of plants that are edible and also have medicinal qualities in addition to just incorporating into your diet. There's a book called Foraging the Ozarks by a guy named Bo Brown, and we will put that in our website. He's a naturalist, and so he has experience in wildlife foraging. Also, he's a birder. He does birding. He was paid to do birding, and he's also
Is that anything like dogging?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's in the UK where you have sex in public.
Then that would be no.
Okay.
I've never heard that before.
Yep.
Okay, dogging.
You should get on more websites.
Yeah.
I'll send you some links.
Okay, let's not do that. So he's also
do his work.
He's
email.
He's also a musician around town. But regardless, he just put a book out called Foraging the Ozarks, and that's where we live. And I'm just kind of exploring like some plants that are around that you can eat. I just find it fascinating. And like Ryan had the hibiscus drink last week, and that's part of that. So what I have done here at Grandma's house, while we were on break between episodes, I literally went out and I got 2 separate plants for the guys here to try. Excellent. And one of them is called wood sorrel, and the other one's called plantain.
But as you're pulling out the book here, Caleb has a controversial online history with wood sorrel because, I mean, I'm just going to say it, started a straight up beef with a plant
war?
identification application that has a Twitter presence.
Sorrel a weed. So this is
No, we're okay. That's the end of that then.
It's not that interesting.
it isn't.
That's all you need to
This
know.
is wood sorrel. You'll see this. It's got a heart-shaped leaf on it. It's very common.
I did some research. They call it false clover.
Yeah, it looks a lot like clover, but grows in bunches, and it doesn't have the same leaf structure.
It just grows everywhere. Its uses are you can basically just eat it, and it has like a tart, almost like an apple tart flavor, or almost like a dill flavor. And it's good for salad topping.
Yeah, so just raw,
raw.
It's almost like little microgreens.
They call it. It's a good trail nibble. You find some, you can just eat it. It adds a nice lemon pepper flavor to any dish. You can make it into soups or other cooked dishes. You can cook it down as well. You can steep it to make a tart beverage. And so I just passed it out to the guys. We're going to eat
right,
it.
Here we go.
Chew it up really good.
Whoa, that is a surprising amount of flavor.
Wow.
See how that's lemony?
Yeah, it's very citrusy,
Or almost like a green apple.
Yeah.
like a Granny Smith. Yeah, totally.
Okay. The tart flavor
Wow.
comes from oxalic acid. These plants have high levels of that oxalic acid. That's wood sorrel. You can use it as a garnish.
Yeah.
If you have enough of it, you can make a good there's a good recipe for creamed wood sorrel soup. You take butter, onion, and shallots. And
All that shit that makes shit taste good.
You have to get, if you had enough of this, you could get.
Caleb said 4 pounds, which seems almost impossible.
Not 4 pounds. Like I was wrong. The recipe for like 6 packed cups of it.
That's still a lot.
That's a lot. And then wine and heavy cream and salt.
That seems like it could be almost anything.
I feel like,
Anything
I feel
with
like you're
cream.
just having a delicious dish adding wood sorrel.
I think the cream and butter is doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
But the sorrel itself gives
It's a
that,
soup.
gives
Sure.
that good flavor. So
I definitely
that's
would
wood
recommend
sorrel.
this as like just using it as like a garnish. Like
So easy.
there's a lot of
I
flavor.
could see putting it into a cocktail. I could see it garnishing a fruit salad or
it's
just
good.
any salad.
I'm gonna
really.
try it on a tomato carpaccio. I think.
That's right.
I think it'd go well with cheese too. Sorry,
Yep.
I'm just thinking like a mozzarella.
Yeah,
and
because
some tomatoes.
it's so
and-
tart, it would cut the
and-
fat nicely.
So the next one I have is actually more prevalent. It's called plantain. It's also called white man's foot. The reason it's called white man's foot, the sorrel was native to the Ozarks and native to lots of parts of North America. Plantain, for the most part, there's some native varieties, but plantain is the plantain that people will see around. It was introduced from Europe. It was brought over very early on by the early settlers of Europe because of its medicinal.
Like smallpox.
Yes, exactly. Except
This was good.
Plantain was good. It for them it had medicinal qualities and some edible qualities for grains. And you see it everywhere. I just literally went outside and picked it. It's spelled and looks like plantain. They're not plantains. It's called white man's foot because as the settlers brought it in and planted it around, if indigenous Americans, First Nations people would come and they would see that, they knew that there had been like a European
Colonizers.
There'd be colonizers around. They call it white man's foot. So that means basically the footprint of white man being present in the area.
They're like, let's get out of
Get
here.
the fuck out. So plantain has a lot of different uses, like green leaf, and then it shoots these little stalks of seeds up.
They look kind of like wheat.
Yeah, and they're a grain. They can be harvested as a grain.
Can you make some bread out of that? Does anybody make plantain bread?
The seeds can be consumed raw, or they can be boiled like rice, or they can be dried and ground and used as a flour additive.
Okay.
As an additive. Yeah. It has medicinal uses. The raw leaves used as a poultice. It can be ground up and made into an ointment to put on to treat wounds, stings, rashes, and like other
abrasions, burns.
The tea, you can make tea from it, and you can treat bronchitis, colds, sinus infections, and stomach ulcers. So it's got different issues. But I'm just going to pick some of these seeds. These aren't large stalks. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pick some seeds off of this and have you guys not what I was hoping for. You get
they need to be more dry, perhaps.
You get a mature dry seed. It's got a nutty flavor.
Okay.
Very nutty.
There's a little bit. It has a nice pop to it, but it's very mild.
It's mild. But if you get a long stalk, it's been around and it's matured, you get those seeds off of there. You can dry them, or you can eat them just again as a trail nibble. Mm-hmm. They're nutty, and they have a good nutty flavor to them.
Nice.
So
I love it.
The sorrel has obviously an immediate
it's very.
It's probably
strong.
tougher to get that in somebody's yard whenever the yard is
whenever you mow
consistently
it.
manicured.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem.
Probably better in a field.
These are considered weeds, but in my opinion, weed is in the eye of the beholder. These have.
Who decided that roses were so great?
They're pretty.
It's a Family Guy reference.
Oh, okay.
It's about dandelions.
So that's plantain. Plantain's a good example of multiple uses. Even the roots of it, medicinal qualities, nutritional qualities, flavor qualities.
I didn't do it this year, but I've been considering trying to make some dandelion wine.
Yeah. Dandelion. I need to put
the greens you can make into a bunch of different stuff. You can make use the flowers and make tea and
So you can go around and take different greens like this and make a salad. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I guess my thing is maybe the Insecticons, they're foragers.
Yep.
Obviously, what they're doing is they shouldn't be chewing on big redwoods, but
I just thought I would
allow you guys to experience some foraging yourselves in conjunction to what we're discussing.
I love it.
I mean, they've been on this planet since before. Well, I guess all the Transformers have been on this planet before man evolved. I wonder though if they brought any Metal Man's foot with them.
I do like how the Insecticons
well done.
palate. They're eating plants.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating that they've adapted into that.
Yeah, that was my panda analogy.
So again, bringing it back to that, it's just fascinating, and
and it's why they're so hungry all the time because it's a poor source of nutrition.
Right, their conversion isn't the best,
right?
But the fact that they can even do it makes them. It gives them an advantage.
And already out now, go listen to the episode of Transformers Reanimated, issue 13, which I did the cover art for. It involves the Insecticons consuming vegetation inside of a mall.
I don't think we gave you permission to plug.
Well, here it is, and I'm the editor, so...
he can do what he wants.
Although I guess Aaron cut it out like a big old piece of shit.
Last minute, vanity edit. I don't like
There's
it.
some foraging. I invite people of the world that are listening to this to maybe investigate some local foraging of their own.
Tell us, if you want to, tell us what is around your area. I'd love to. I'm interested in that.
I always do find discussions of the Columbian Exchange to be fascinating. Just things like, there were no tomatoes in Europe. Everybody thinks of pasta, tomato sauce, marinara. No, that's bullshit because tomatoes were here. And Italy never saw a tomato until
they were considered poisonous for quite some time.
They were nightshade.
Yes. I do like how we call it the exchange. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I mean, you can try and bring that kind of dynamic to it, but the fact of the matter is that Asia did not have chilies.
Yeah, just bring Columbus into it.
I mean, they call it the Columbian Exchange. I don't know. Ryan, you rename it and make whatever that name is more popular.
I will.
To make you feel better about yourself.
Sure. Right.
It's not to make me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
It's to make it less seem like it's less positive. It's not.
It's only not neutral because people hate Columbus, rightfully
so.
But it's what that thing that is
yeah, I
called.
think I just want another term for just the culinary exchange.
Let's do it.
I
What
guess.
would you call it?
The culinary.
East.
I don't know. New world. I don't know. I don't have any answers right now. I do find it interesting. The only diseases we got from the New World inhabitants were like herpes and so I think syphilis.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Anywho,
Well, anyway, forage.
thank you, Caleb. That was really
try not
interesting
to
for sure.
try not
I
to-
love that stuff. I would love to go on one of those expeditions with you the next time.
Yeah. I would encourage you to come along.
At the Insecticon base, Kickback is paranoid. He hears some strange noises. Turns out it's just Bombshell's stomach. He's hungry. Turns out an hour after eating pines, you need to eat energy again. The team agrees to go hit up a robot buffet. They said pine. So it's better than if they just said like bamboo, bonsai,
I guess.
which is Japanese. So that would
That wouldn't work at all.
That wouldn't even be culturally relevant. But if you're going to be
is
ignorant, you might
weird.
as well be ignorant.
It's definitely, I mean, obviously it's the 80s. It's definitely playing off of the whole joke about Chinese food. You're hungry an hour later. And I don't know if anybody would get that.
That's an old.
It's an
that's
old
a pretty
joke.
tired cliche.
It's when I heard it, I was like, ooh, that's weird.
But the thing is, it wasn't connected to Chinese food. But that's the only thing
That's
that
the
reference is connected to.
Yeah, that's the only way. That's the only way it makes sense.
We're gonna go back to Jeff.
Oh.
Here, I'll play this out.
Excellent. I love Jeff.
Gigantic robot insects that eat trees? You've got to be kidding.
That's it.
They make a whole point of doing that transition.
I have noticed this in this episode and a little bit in the next one. They do transitions not only to different groups, but like interior groups. Like they're later we show a transition from one Autobot talking remotely to another Autobot, like at the base. There's a flip, and I'm like, I don't know that was necessary.
The Insecticons are chowing down on some redwoods. I like how they're eating makes a working saw blade
Chainsaw
sound
sound?
effect. An elder park ranger,
Ranger Mike.
Mike, watches from a stand on high. He calls Jeff. That's how we know his name.
Hi, I'm Mike Seibert, and I'm a forest ranger.
I have a big wispy mustache.
I have a big wispy mustache.
I
Now,
haven't done that in a while.
he calls Jeff the skeptical park ranger we've come to know and love, and lets him know something wacky is going on in Screwball Forest. Time to go investigate. Meanwhile, a brigade of Decepticons consisting of Megatron, Soundwave, and the Seekers approach. They're
So nice to see angles. Like we just see Soundwave pointing
know.
where it's an actual angle of an action instead of just a straight on view.
Yeah, it has perspective and foreshortening and all those fun art things
so
that make things fun to look
Some
at.
shading.
This is weird. We're right here. We have Ranger Mike driving to investigate what is happening, and he says, "Huh, don't see anything. I guess I was imagining things,"
Yeah.
which is a pretty serious hallucination. Like you might
Yeah.
want to investigate into some Seroquel or something.
Onset's a bad thing.
Whoo-wee.
Yeah. The Decepticons are seeking the Insecticons. They don't trust the Insecticons, and they plan to exterminate them once they've served Megatron's purpose. Soundwave spots them, and he also spots the Autobots as well as our sophisticated older park ranger. And just as the old ranger's about to give up, he's not trusting his own instincts, the Insecticons fell a tree that blocks the road in front of him, and then they confront him.
Crazy human drivers.
Yeah, but
Bye, Mike.
Mike turns around and shoves off. The insects continue to chow down on the redwoods, soaking in the electrons. Mike,
Which is
panicking,
everything
crashes into the Autobot team. Nice little skirmish kicks off with Shrapnel bombshelling Hound, and the Autobots try to escape by running down a river. The Insecticons roll a huge redwood log after them, getting a strike and knocking them off the waterfall to their doom.
I love Bombshell's line here. He has some really great lines in the series just in general, where he says, "A good meal always puts me in the mood for mayhem." It just reminds me of the line from Enter the Nightbird. "I love warping minds for you, Megatron. Love it." He's fun.
I like the Insecticons are some of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah, I love
being honest.
I love whenever the Insecticons show up. I did think it was weird that Kickback, the rest of the Insecticons help him roll this giant redwood toward the Autobots, but he's in robot form instead of the grasshopper form.
I hand it
where
to
he'd
the
be
animators.
most useful.
Yeah.
I like that the animators actually took into consideration that the branches break off of the tree trunk when it rolls.
It is fun. It's great when you see good animation. Yeah, they roll the trunk and the tree branches break off. It's really good.
Smart.
It's well done.
I don't know that we're going to commercial, but we see the Insecticons come up to the edge of the waterfall. Lots of waterfall-based treachery in this last couple episodes. But we see what the Insecticons see, which is the Autobots, along with the tree, plummeting to their doom
Off of the waterfall,
in the water below.
Which last episode was not fatal at all.
Right.
But
And we clearly see that they land in water here, whereas in last episode they didn't even land in water.
Yes.
We're back from commercial. With the Autobots dispatched, the Insecticons are hungry as fuck. The Decepticons intersect with the insects and promise them an endless feast of energy at, you guessed it, a power plant.
all the fucking grub you can stomach.
After they've gorged, he wants the Insecticons to heist the Iron Mountain Defense Computer. Nova Power Plant, Iron Mountains, there's already too many locations for me to keep track of.
I disagree.
Okay.
I would normally find, like, I say this later, but I think this episode is complicated, but not convoluted. Like, it makes sense if you're just paying attention. Like, everything makes sense. I love the plot of this one. There are a few things that are stupid, which I'll talk about later, but I think this is a perfectly reasonable plot.
If it were executed to the promise of the plot, I'd agree with you.
They never
And we
are,
can
though.
Save it. We can save it for later, but they never are to about the same degree.
Yeah, but this one makes sense.
All right, we're coming back to it.
It's not like drill into the center of the earth.
Also, as we learned last episode, falling down waterfalls don't really do anything to Autobots, but especially when they didn't actually fall down the mountain.
I will say for a second, this got me. Like whenever they, because it shows a reverse angle.
I was fooled.
Right before they go, and I'm like, oh, they're going to jump down to that ledge, which they do, but then they show them going off the edge, and I'm like, oh, and then I remembered Hound was with them.
Oh, you saw the opportunity for them
Yeah.
to
And then they
escape.
didn't escape, and I'm like, what happened? Oh, right.
Got it. What Ryan is referring to is that everything that we just saw previously was a clever hologram from Hound. The Autobots are safe. They managed to grapple on or somehow get on this ledge that's right underneath the top of the waterfall. Mm-hmm. They now know the plan, and they've got to go deliver this spicy chai latte to Prime. As you can guess, Prime is not happy about this. He sees a world of superpowered bugs and wants to DDT that shit before it can happen. Transform, roll out. The crew consists of some heavy hitters, some classics, Ironhide, Ratchet, Jazz, Wheeljack, and then there's also some red winged head fire truck of a fella. Mm-hmm. Who could that be?
It's Crimson Warning. But I did like, we just saw the classic Prime transformation. That it made me think of what if in an ACOM episode they just took those frames and put them in the middle of their episode? How jarring that would be to see that cool Prime transform. I don't.
Does ACOM have
Watching these back to back was weird.
Does ACOM have any go-to reusable animations that they use? Like
No, they're always just random. They don't transform consistently at all.
It's like if you ever watch He-Man, it's like made exclusively of reused footage. Like they just He-Man reuses stuff just real. Like they can't wait.
That's that filmation style.
They can't wait to just reuse a sequence. They love it.
They love it.
The Insecticons and the Decepticons are making their way to the Nova power
I
plant.
love this sequence.
The Insecticons are very happy about the spread in front of them. And I'm not trying to be crude, but I swear to God, it sounds like Bombshell says Insecticunt.
I did not catch that.
Let's hear how bad your perception is on hearing perverted things.
Naughty.
Impeccable, Megatron! That Nova power plant is a fit tidbit bit for a ravenous Insecticon to come.
That's pretty
Yeah.
close to Insecticon.
I
All right,
have
thanks for
a,
validating.
I have a speech related issue later, but we'll get to that. That would, but yeah, no, I
Thanks, guys. We'll let our British and Australian friends be the true judge of that.
Why would they be the true judge of that?
they use the term
I feel
cunt
like
every other sentence.
I feel like they've got a better alarm for it.
You're right, cunt.
Like all power plants do, we have a heavily armed and helicoptered militia
I
guarding
love
it,
No,
ready
they're-
for any Decepticon attack.
This is the best resistance I've seen humans put up against anything yet.
I have that note too. I thought it was really cool to see humans put up a fight in those copters.
They are better.
And also, it was a fun little thing. They have G.I. Joe laser sound effects.
Yeah. Maybe G.I. Joe's like, yeah, I mean, it's nice to see them put up some sort of resistance.
Yeah, and we see it again later. And like that's all the battle scenes in this are so good. I like them a lot.
Do we ever see hard hats again? I miss the hard hats. Even
Oh, the
though-
Union Boys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or at least Spike and Sparkplug wearing them.
I don't
There
know.
were so many
More to
Union
come.
Boys in season 1. So many hard hats. That
It's
I
true.
haven't seen much yet. Hard hats. Love them. Sexy.
Whoa.
And they know it.
Yeah.
The Decepticons are engaging the humans. Megatron sends the Seekers to head into that. And Megatron and Soundwave move in to engage with the newly arriving Autobots.
Pretty cool where they transform and start running. Pretty neat.
It's another one of those
Soundwave-
fully animated background.
Soundwave ejects Laserbeak and Buzzsaw, and I was immediately like, oh no, Prime's fucked if Laserbeak is on the playing
Oh, yeah, he's in
field.
total trouble.
But we get this again, and I talk about this in a couple of notes, but like this episode really has a lot of people get the time to shine. Like there's a whole like sequence we're getting ready to see here with Inferno and Jazz. Inferno and Jazz, they do this, there's this fun sequence here where they get to do something interesting, and there's a lot of characterization work, and then we see some good stuff with Spike in this episode as well. I just think character-wise, it's really cool, and then the plot is very interesting. I don't know. I loved this episode. I don't know how much had to do with the fact the last episode
It's so bad.
like is the episode that raises all boats, but
Ryan loves every single Toei episode after an ACOM episode.
I think this might be the first. I don't know if this is the
Let's not act like Toei doesn't have some. I mean, we had the Arise,
Yeah, but
Atlanta.
I watched.
I loved that episode.
I watched these episodes this morning while I was doing a garage sale at my house, and it was like night and day
Yeah.
between ACOM and Toei. I was like, oh shit, that's a. I mean,
In particular, the action scenes are just so much.
Oh yeah,
Anyway, but
they definitely put
Laserbeak-
more creativity into the visual,
Yeah.
the cinematography of it all.
But it's okay. Laserbeak is not a threat to Prime in this one.
no, he gets shot down pretty quick.
And where Caleb was going, it was nice to see Buzzsaw. That was just another character, kind of like Blue Streak, that I thought
Well, he
didn't really appear,
He
but turns
came-
out shows up more often than I
Yeah.
think.
in the toy, Buzzsaw came with Soundwave.
Soundwave, yeah.
Yeah, he should be the primary character.
You should, and then you had to buy Laserbeak separately. So I have a Buzzsaw. I never bought a Laserbeak. So the toys that I left at your house, the Soundwave, that is the Buzzsaw. That's Buzzsaw.
And I guess
So
that
see
makes
it.
sense from a commercial standpoint, because then
sure.
you have to buy a laser.
Yeah,
beam.
Exactly. That's definitely why they did it.
motherfuckers.
To Ryan's point, yeah, we get to see Inferno shine here. He, by the way, has a bit of a trucker sort of
Accent, you know.
mannerism about him, but they pop off at Laserbeak and Buzzsaw,
Get that Robotoid turkey.
drive them off.
And they Jazz and Inferno slap 5, and that was fun.
Yeah.
The human choppers are shot down. Somehow everybody survives that crash. Inferno again proves his value by using some kind of anti-fire foam to put out the flames of
This is
that
just
crash.
another instance where I can't stand whenever they have Jazz say something like colloquial.
What did he say that bothered you so
He
bad?
said,
You better stop saving us, Inferno. We're starting to foam at the mouth.
I think Catman does a good job with the lyrics.
I agree, and I
The
see what
lines
they're
that he's
trying to
given.
do. I get what they're trying to do, which is Jazz likes Earth culture, and they're trying to. I get it, but the lines that Ron Friedman, and it's all Ron Friedman putting these lines, they're all corrected by him, that he's doing don't make any sense, because like foaming at the mouth, that just means you're insane. Doesn't. Just the fact that you have a pun about foam doesn't make sense, and then it's the same line of like, you better put us out. we're starting to heat up. You're going to have to put barbecue sauce on our shock absorbers, which is another line that makes no sense, which is from another
It would have been better
episode.
if it
It's just confusing.
Stop sitting foam on his hound. It makes it feel like I'm at a party at Ibiza.
That's a deep cut that nobody would give, but I like it.
We've covered that barbecue comment before.
Yeah.
And I think you are just refusing to accept the metaphor. In that situation, he's saying barbecue sauce because there's heat involved in the situation. It actually does make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And in this makes sense. The foam at the mouth, I get how the idiom is connected to insanity, but he's really just saying
There's a lot of foam.
yeah, we're good here.
I know you're saying that what that's saying, but it's what they're saying doesn't make any sense. It's a mixed metaphor.
It is a mixed metaphor.
Like,
but
why
I
do you
still-
put barbecue sauce on
It's the
something?
best.
I contend the barbecue sauce one is fine.
Well, but no, just answer my question. Why would you put barbecue sauce on something?
Well, it's something that has been grilled,
To
was hot, and you're adding extra flavor.
eat it.
Yes.
Do you eat suspension systems?
Oh, you're going.
God. I
You're
fucking hate you right
you're
now.
getting hung
It
up.
doesn't make any sense. It's a mixed metaphor.
The things you get.
I don't
hung
think
up
all
on.
metaphors are mixed metaphors.
No, they
By-
aren't.
By your standard, they are, because if in your world, you should never use an eating metaphor in a heating metaphor. When
You're getting too.
Not if you're not gonna it would make sense if they were made of flesh, but they're not, so it doesn't make sense.
You're,
God, it
you're
does
the things you
make
get
sense.
hung up on are interesting.
and I don't know if
to
we're
me.
using the phrase mixed metaphor correctly. Let's
Well,
look that up.
it's a metaphor that it breaks down. It's using one portion of a metaphor that would make sense in another context with a portion of a metaphor that would make sense in another context, but putting them together.
Maybe this is the combination of a
would it-
metaphor and Cockney rhyming slang.
Would it have been better if Jazz was a dog and said that?
made perfect sense.
But Jazz is a dog. You know what I'm saying? Jazz is my dog.
I don't like it.
Maybe Scatman liked barbecue.
It's not his line. It's Ron Friedman's line.
What was the original line?
I don't know because Ron
They
Friedman
redact them.
He redacts
Yeah,
everything.
I've seen some
so I can't
visuals of
read
that.
it.
Just cross it out.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, stop doing that. It's a lot of foam.
Too much.
Too much foam.
The job is done here.
Job is
This one
done.
didn't bother me as much as
So
the
much
barbecue one. It's
foam.
basically this was a vehicle for me to re-bring up how barbecue sauce makes no sense.
You shouldn't have
I
done
wanted
that.
to relitigate it, and I'm right, and everybody
You're
will prove
not
that I'm right.
right. It is fine.
Everybody knows I'm right, and I have an audience mandate
Look
that
at
will
the
prove
size
I'm right.
of that. Look at that hill that he's dying on right there. It's called Barbecue Hill.
Ryan, you don't have to push your body on that sword so hard.
Yeah.
Get off the cross.
Yeah.
Look at all these metaphors we're
I
mixing
don't
up
think
here.
that works either, because that would mean I'm a martyr, which doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you what, those ribs, Christ's ribs, delicious, sacrilegious.
That makes sense. That's that's great. That works perfectly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Please move on.
the Insecticons break into the plant and tap into the Nova's energy as they chow on electrons. They admit to themselves that they will most certainly betray Megatron as soon as they're fully powered. And as they consume energy, they also literally grow in size.
I do love this part where once they go in, the humans that are in that facility say, "Let's get out of here," which, according to Trivial Pursuit, is the second most uttered phrase in movies. Do you know what the first one is?
Barbecue sauce.
Yeah, it has something to do probably with sorrel, wood sorrel.
What is it?
I love you.
No.
I love you too.
Lovable.
It's also the first line. Yeah, and it is interesting that they say a little heavy on the neutrons, which is a fun call forward.
Yeah, I think there's a couple that, and when they were back at the Redwood, there's
The
a couple
electron line.
pre-referenced Transformers the movie material. Yeah, he says heavy on the neutrons, which he says electrons in the movie, but yes. What they didn't know is that Soundwave was listening in.
With a stethoscope.
Yeah, I don't know why he needs that.
I don't know either. I looked in the script because we saw him in Roll for It. He uses this cool little device where he's underneath the falls
Like a
listening.
snaky
But
sort
now
of.
he's just got a doctor's stethoscope.
And yeah, he doesn't have ears as far as
No,
I
so
know.
why they're attached to his head makes no sense. Yeah.
But he is discovered by Bombshell as a spy. He's trapped. He's captured. He's cerebro-shelled into submission. Soundwave is now the Insecticons' slave.
Not again to dwell on size changing, but the Insecticons being larger really is changeable here.
And they're barely larger.
Yeah.
I don't know why they made that a plot point. I
don't either.
I wish they'd made them really big.
I'm cool with it.
I think it's just meant to mean they're more powerful, but it
Yeah.
doesn't really come into play in any meaningful way.
It does symbolically.
I'd say give them another 10 feet.
Yeah, make them big, like
Yeah.
really big.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Or just don't do it.
Hound, Beachcomber, Bumblebee, Spike. They show up to the power plant.
Names.
Prime's battle with the Seekers continues. It's up to Wheeljack and Ironhide to take on the Insecticons. They're our only hope. But what they find is the Insecticons are now huge bugs, too powerful for them to combat. The Insecticons make short work of the boys and the towers that they are climbing.
I don't understand why they're climbing towers, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, okay, so
Are you getting a...
I think we're probably going to go to the same part.
I'll let you just handle it. It's about to happen. We'll just wait for it. Shrapnel shoots some kind of electricity at the tower that Ironhide is climbing. Kickback, he turns into his grasshopper mode, but the tower that Wheeljack is on gets blasted, and then Kickback kicks it over. So Wheeljack falls to the ground. But while Ironhide is getting electrocuted,
The weirdest shit happens. Like, they zoom in on his left forearm, and it pops open. The panel pops open to show a super intricate design. And I think Caleb's looking at what I noticed. There's a panel in there that says Ironhide on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you noticed that too, Aaron.
I was expecting this to have some bearing on the episode.
Or come back at all.
It
It doesn't.
It feels like the kind of detail you wouldn't go to the trouble of illustrating
No,
if it wasn't meaningful in some way.
Exactly. So
and it's not. Spoilers. It's not meaningful
So
at all.
some illustrator fell in love with this panel because the camera is focused heavily on his forearm.
Yeah, it zooms in on it.
And zooms in on it, and then he falls, and I'm like, well, that has to come back somehow, but nope.
It's a tattoo, obviously.
Is it there if his arm ever falls off and somebody finds it? They can. It's Ironhide.
Ironhide.
Yeah, that's weird. Fucking really. That's the
It's
most
very weird.
That's the most detail I've seen on the interior of an Autobot in quite some time, and it's just his fucking forearm, and it's a throwaway.
And I looked in the script. Nope. It's not in the script, and something that was cut out. It doesn't. It's not even mentioned in the script that this happens. So
some illustrator was really proud, and they left it in.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks neat.
It's great.
does.
It just is confusing.
But also weird that his name would be in there.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
I don't know if your mom did this, but they would write your name on the tags of your T-shirts. Or
I thought you were going to say
underwear.
tattoo your organs.
My mom did something weird. I've got a bunch of those shirts that you don't have to iron. What's the
Polyester?
brand? No, what's the brand?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. It's the Untuck It.
Oh, okay.
So I got a bunch of Untuck It shirts, and my mom took them home one day, and she was washing them for me. She stitched in initials on the tags. N.I.
You're 40 years old.
Yeah, I understand this. That's why I'm telling this story. It wouldn't be interesting if it was otherwise. I got all the shirts back and stitched in thread on the tags. Some of them said N.I. or which means no iron. Or some of the other ones said whatever.
What do you mean, whatever?
I forgot.
I
thought you were
iron.
going to say your initials, but NI is very confusing.
Yeah, no, it was no iron, and then also no dryer or something like that. Specific instruction on what not to do.
Whoa.
the things retired people do.
Yeah, that's
You know,
the fucking truth.
Here's the thing.
Good, and I love my mom so much.
A couple of things.
She's so amazing.
That instruction is on the tag. If you have the time to embroider it in a tag, you have the time to just check the tag. Also, there's a thing that exists called Sharpies.
Exactly. That's where I thought it was going, and I'm
My
like, but
mom
it's sewed in?
stitched in abbreviations for the important instructions that are on that tag, so that I know what to do and what not to do with those shirts.
Oh, that's
Which probably
terrifying.
Actually it helps because my wife just throws everything into the washing machine.
But does she check the tags? If
Never
she's not
does.
inclined to check the tag either.
True.
So it's not really adding any value.
It's my mom trying to help my wife.
But do you?
sweet.
I mean, do you do laundry?
Yeah,
right.
if I can catch it.
I gotcha.
If I can catch it. What I've kind of resolved to is to take my Untuckit shirts and make sure that they're segregated for my wife getting her hands on them.
See,
'Cause
what
she just washes and dries everything.
which is what I do, which
She
is
runs
why
my clothes.
Well, this is why Wes and I do our laundry separately. She does hers, I do mine.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm
but
the same in my house.
I'm in an environment where it's like
You got a lot more to deal with.
I got stuff to deal with.
Our kids do their laundry as well. So
I look
really,
forward-
everybody's doing their own laundry in our house.
That's cool that Carolina does her own laundry.
She does.
That's really awesome. I need to get Harrison.
I don't know if she's checking tags. I don't know if she's putting things in that she shouldn't or putting things in the dryer.
I can't
that
imagine
but
she has many things that wouldn't go in the washer and dryer.
Does she have enough to make a load?
Kids wear
Wear a
as
lot
much
of clothes.
clothes as you do.
Yeah.
You guys don't have boys. You don't understand.
That might be true.
It's a different situation. Anyway,
God.
Keep your wife's
What a-
hands
what
off
a-
your clothes. Your fucking
Just get a separate hamper.
Stitched instructions
I don't remember how this got this where we are.
Ironhide.
because of Ironhide.
You think who's doing Ironhide's arm laundry?
Right. Okay, go ahead.
Probably Caleb's mom.
Probably.
Woo-wee.
So the Insecticons have fucked up Ironhide and Wheeljack. Mm-hmm. Prime's second team moves in while Bumblebee and Spike are covering the action.
In a cool way.
Yeah. They give Spike a gun.
Yeah.
They
Spike
have
has a rifle.
They have a human-sized gun that he can work with. Jazz saves Wheeljack from being crushed beneath the tower. Inferno puts out Ironhide's sizzling corpse. They're all loaded into Prime's trailer, and they just retreat.
Yep. It's a tactical retreat, and the Decepticons even call it out, but it is rare to see the Autobots retreat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I said, tactical. It was the best call. And then Bumblebee's like, I hate fighting in reverse.
And you like that line?
It's basically another way of saying I don't like for running away. I liked it.
See,
I like it. I like this episode a lot.
The Autobots retreat. The Decepticons see it as sweet victory.
I'm sorry. There's a bit where go back a little bit. Just hit the back. Right. Okay. Play it. And pay attention. You don't need to play the sound, but just pay attention to the when Bumblebee takes off and Spike getting into Bumblebee. It's very hilarious. Bumblebee is in motion when Spike must have just grabbed the steering wheel because he is yanked off his feet and the door is still
I've seen
open.
that shit before. It's like
Yes.
it's dangerous.
Yeah. And that's indestructible Witwikis. We haven't seen Sparkplug in a while.
Back at the volcano base, Spike's research on Teletran 1 reveals that the energy from the Nova power core is incompatible with the Insecticon stomach. So it turns out the Insecticons are going to explode
Nice.
if they don't find an antidote to this thing.
They're
So,
trilithium stomachs.
by the way, that's like another 5-second trip away from the
So,
action and then back into the action.
Here's my question. Who cares? Let them explode.
Yeah. To which Prime should have said, well, I guess we'll do nothing.
This is, well,
Sounds like a good result for us.
and I know this goes in a little bit. We'll talk about this, but we might as well talk about it now. So I get that in the episode, the reason is because there are humans inside the Iron Mountain, but just have a throwaway line of like, there are humans inside Iron Mountain. Otherwise, just let them evacuate and let the Decepticons and Insecticons explode and die.
And I feel like they've already evacuated.
They didn't. They
No,
stay.
they do. They go into.
You're
what's-
talking about Nova Corps, not Iron Mountain.
You're talking about, yeah, Iron Mountain goes into the master defense sequence, which is probably Iron Mountain is one of the most advanced things I've seen the humans do on the show.
This is again, yeah, we see humans do awesome things. We'll get there. I'm sorry to jump the gun, but it just was like it folds into all together of like, why is the Insecticons exploding a problem?
Right. They do say that without referencing humans, Prime does say that if they explode in Iron Mountain, they'll blow it sky high.
Seems like a small price to pay to eliminate the Decepticon threat.
I agree.
Maybe he's just making assumptions that innocents will be.
Yeah, that's again. If that's
Killed
the
in
thing, just say that. Don't say that it's going to explode. Say that humans are going to die.
Sure.
Also, I feel like a small price to pay.
Do you
for
think
the
that,
destruction
do you
of the
think when they
Decepticons.
made cartoons at this point they could actually say humans are going to die?
Yeah, I wonder if there's that.
That might
reference.
be.
I think that might be a thing.
You
I
might
think
be
you're
right.
Probably right
So-
about that.
So There you go.
You could just say get hurt.
Can they even say that?
I'm sure you could say that.
Well, 1 second later, I think you get the implication because we go to Iron Mountain. We see that it is stocked full of humans.
And they lock it down.
The humans activate their defenses and do a pretty good job of keeping the Decepticons at bay with some actual accurate turret blasts.
It's very cool. There was one part we just passed by that normally I don't call out these things, but like Jazz, in just a second, has a very prominent Decepticon symbol on him.
Interesting.
There we go.
At least it's colored red.
Yeah.
But how do they screw that up?
Wow.
I don't know. It's weird.
I kind of like Decepticon Jazz.
It's like at 12:58. I think is when that is. But
Busting shit
What's
up.
the master computer that the humans built earlier that was running all kinds of stuff? The fucked up face.
Squirt. It had it was
Squirt.
an acronym.
Squirt.
it wasn't an acronym.
Squirt.
It felt like it should have been an
It should have
acronym.
been
Squirt.
Queeg.
Wait,
Near.
Nurgil?
No. Torque 3.
Torque 3. This looks totally like a Torque 3 operation right here.
Except it doesn't have any of the
I wish they'd bring Torque 3
mechanical.
back. I want to see it. I want to see Reanimated do another. I want to see them do a Torque 3.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a Torque 3 button for our next APDC
awesome. That'd be cool. I
set.
like that.
I've already found a shape that is appropriate.
Everybody
for
look
it.
forward to that, our patrons.
Yeah. By the way, if you're not a patron, become one, and you get cool shit like that.
Okay.
Do it.
Good plug, Caleb.
Thanks.
The humans have activated their defenses. Prime is driving to the site. He begs Wheeljack and Ratchet to hurry it the fuck up with that antidote. Meanwhile, Bombshell is reeling from reflux. Shrapnel manages to hack the human systems and turn the humans' guns on themselves. Then the Autobots reveal themselves. The Insecticons will guard the perimeter of the base while the rest of the Decepticons steal the defense computer. The Insecticons fire on some cliffside rocks, which land on all the Autobots, another kind of common trope that we've seen several times, trapping them underneath. Prime works to free them with his cannon while the Decepticons sneak into Iron Mountain and steal the information from the computer inside.
I like how the guns are like, whoa.
That's when Shrapnel takes control of them.
Yeah, they're all spinning around. Pew, pew.
It is weird that Megatron is like, after their immediate usefulness to the Decepticons is over, he wants to destroy them, which they seem super useful.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
you're real short-sighted.
He's not that short-sighted because the Insecticons were also planning to double-cross him.
He didn't know that.
Maybe he suspected that they would probably double-cross him. He's not suspecting it, though. He hasn't made any.
I guess that's
he hasn't
true.
made it clear that he suspects.
Not
that.
like last episode where he just knows they want to control a Devastator.
Right. A very specific plot point. The Insecticons' purpose is fulfilled, so it's time to murder them. But it turns out that Bombshell has already taken over the minds of most of the Decepticons' forces.
It's awesome.
Pops one into Starscream. He tries to take over Megatron as well.
Oh, I love that part. He tags Starscream, and Megatron just fucking catches the Cerebro shell and crushes it. And his line is awesome. No one gets into my cranial chamber. It's pretty sweet.
He smashes the Cerebro shell, which causes Bombshell some discomfort, which provides a little insight into how that might work.
I
for
think
him.
that's in his tech specs as well.
Yeah.
That's an issue. If they can be used against him in that way.
Bombshell is stunned, leaving him open for assassination. But Optimus Prime jumps into the line of fire, keeping Megatron from killing him. He explains to Megatron that if he hits the Insecticons, then everybody would die because of the unstable activity happening inside of them. The Insecticons fly to the mountain to help themselves to a deposit of data. Then Ratchet shows up with the antidote. If only we could get a COVID antigen so quickly.
Isn't it Wheeljack?
Right. No, I'm answering Aaron. I'm not answering
No, I
you.
know.
Sorry.
Doesn't Wheeljack show up, not Ratchet?
Let's find out. It's Ratchet.
Oh,
It's both of them.
It's both of them. I do like this part where Megatron blasts the Seekers. I think he really enjoyed that. He just an excuse to shoot them.
The animation of them running off is terrible.
It's not good. No, even them getting shots.
It is literally Ratchet that hands.
It
the
is Ratchet. You're
over,
right.
just
That hands
for the record.
For the record, you were more right than me. I do like that they're just in test tubes with a cork, no delivery system.
Right. That's right.
and how they get delivered, like as if that wouldn't just destroy it in the
I know,
barrel.
so dumb.
Megatron's gun. The Insecticons, they're in the mountain. They're trying to get the data to themselves. Go ahead.
Right here, where you paused it, what's the time on that?
1805.
Where Soundwave, like, literally has his wires plugged into the computer from his hands. If you guys remember, I don't know, from the movie in the script deviations, there is a scene where Perceptor plugs into the Ark, the Autobot shuttle like that to use navigation.
Interesting. Okay.
So I don't know if that is maybe where that came from, but
Possibly.
It looks kind of neat. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
even
pretty
notice
cool.
it. And I see that there's some script on his chest as well, some code of some sort flashing.
Yep. It means things are happening.
That's right.
doings are transpiring.
Mm-hmm. The Insecticons and their flunkies work to secure the data. Megatron and the Autobots charge in. The Insecticons' stomachs begin to ache even more. Turns out in 30 seconds, these suckers are gonna blow. The Insecticons don't realize this, and so they're fighting everybody hard. Prime begs Megatron to transform, which he does.
Okay, that part. Do you feel like Prime transforms Megatron into the gun?
I feel like there's something going on there.
It's really animated weird.
It is.
Because Megatron tries to get up, Prime asks him to transform, he tries to get up again, and then lays back down, and then Prime picks him up and turns him around as he transforms.
I think there's a bottom top thing going on here.
It might be.
Watch. It's like
Yeah, it's in just a second, but it looks like Optimus Prime manually transforms Megatron, which is meta as hell.
I think Megatron likes being transformed. Watch.
Wow. I did not pick up on that.
I think Megatron.
weird.
I think
That's
Megatron
pretty
is
cool.
assisting with the transformation, but
Yeah.
likes the idea of Optimus
Giving up control.
handling him.
He's subbing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that there's a serious sexual thing going on.
This is also my favorite thing.
We've talked before
It's
about
true.
pulling the trigger.
Yeah, well, this is my favorite thing when Prime shoots Megatron.
How many more times do you think we're due for this?
I don't know. I think the last time was Ultimate Doom Part 4.
It'll happen.
I
It will
mean,
happen again.
Countdown to Extinction.
I've read where it happened before, and it will happen again.
Good. Good.
What the that answers your question, doesn't it?
Caleb did some research.
I know. I'm just shocked.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What else is on that 5-inch tall yellow
I've
piece
got
of
one
paper?
note left.
Is it time for it?
Not yet.
Okay.
All right,
I'll
wait
let
for
you know
it.
I'll let you know when it happens.
Prime, in control of Megatron, he puts the antidote
Test
in the
tube.
barrel of the gun. He manages to blast on Bombshell and Kickback, which causes them to shrink back down to normal size and powers them down. But Shrapnel ain't going out like a sucker. He summons lightning from the sky and
Like fucking
releases
Thor.
Electric death. This isn't the first time he's done that.
No, I
That is-
know.
But
That's
that's
where-
his power.
That's where my last note is.
Okay.
I was just making a comment that lightning burnt my mom's childhood house down.
What? That's sad.
Yeah, I saw the lightning.
Well, did she stitch her initials in it? Because then you
in
can
the lightning?
in the house. Because then you know it doesn't matter. It was a bad joke.
She stitches the words "use water."
The house burnt down because they didn't follow the lightning. Didn't
That's
follow
right.
her instructions.
That's right.
No,
Because the instructions
said-
were
no, it just said NL. No,
No
no
lightning.
lightning. You guys made it work.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're welcome.
for rescuing that
That was
terrible,
not
terrible
good.
joke. This
But-
may be in my top 5 favorite episodes. Actually,
The day is saved because Spike climbs up on Shrapnel, opens up a compartment, and shoves the antidote inside of him and then runs away. But as he runs away, Shrapnel just explodes anyway.
yeah, it's confusing. I guess the implication is he doesn't explode as badly.
Right.
Also, like at 1958, if you will play whenever Optimus says, "Here we go."
Spike.
They're right there.
All of that for that.
I'm convinced Optimus Prime does not know Spike's name.
Spike.
He calls
He's
him
a
Bike.
Bike.
He calls him Bike.
Splick.
He calls him Splick, and then he calls him Bike. And I think he's just too embarrassed to try to find out what his name is. So he's just like,
Spike.
I'm pretty convinced that most of the Autobots just don't really consider Spike at all most of the time.
Why do they let him?
I don't know.
Go
He's
with
getting
them.
like this
is helpful.
episode exemplifies. He's getting more useful. I think hanging out with Carly has been a positive influence.
Bike.
Mulva,
Dolores.
you got it.
Shrapnel explodes.
He's fucking dead as shit.
The day is saved. All the Decepticons have regained control of their senses, except for Shrapnel, whose various parts are spread all throughout the computer lab. But Bombshell has a trick where he releases a ray that ends up reassembling all of the scattered scraps
Which I
of
guess
Shrapnel.
makes them functionally unkillable
Right,
unless they run out of power, I guess.
right. And it seems derivative of a power they used in their original. But that power was they turned scraps into clones of themselves.
I have that note in
Okay.
script deviations. But yeah, I'll just tell you it here, where we see like all these lights come down on Shrapnel, and then the gun that Bombshell has kind of reassembles the parts. In the script, they talk about how to reference a plague of Insecticons where they make clones out of scrap like that. But it's so complicated it can't be animated because there's supposed to be wires that connect them together and bring them back together. But they're just like, fuck it, just make the parts come back.
Just make more magic.
Yeah.
You know, magic is just science we don't understand yet.
Magnets, how do they work?
The Insecticons take off with the Decepticons close behind, rage-fueled and ready to take on the traitor.
You know what pisses me off the most?
What?
They end this fucking episode with everybody laughing. And I'm like, God damn it. Douglas Booth, did you not read Flint Dilley's memo? You're not supposed to do that. I hate it. I hate it so badly.
Maybe Ron Friedman added it back in. Well, you'd know.
I don't remember. I didn't read that part, I guess.
This is the second time we've ended with an Insecticon chase scene.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't understand how Megatron can be mad when he's the OG double crosser, but
Word.
It's also the second
Whatever.
episode in a row where the Autobot, or Prime and Megatron at least have to work together.
all right. Well, that is the end of the episode. We have new voice actors.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we have Beachcomber and Inferno. These are actually pretty interesting. Both of whom, character-wise, no origin story.
Nope.
And neither really got much character development. We know one maybe is kind of mellow and one maybe has a truck stop. Beachcomber was voiced by Alan Oppenheimer. Technically, we dealt with an Oppenheimer character a couple episodes back with the voiceless appearance of Warpath, but I wanted to save it for when he actually did speak. So Alan Oppenheimer, by the way, still alive.
Yay.
True vet. For Transformers, he did Beachcomber, Warpath, Sea Spray, Breakdown, a couple Human Nobodies. He has 300 plus credits on IMDb. Roles going back to 1963. He was a screen actor as well as a voice actor, but he did The Untouchables, I Spy, In the Heat of the Night, Andy Griffith, Get Smart, Hogan's Heroes, I Dream of Jeannie, $6 Million Man, St. Elsewhere, Happy Days, Mama's Family. He was in the OG 1973 Westworld.
Oh.
He's appeared in 3 Star Trek series as different characters. He was a Klingon cleric in a Star Trek The Next Generation episode, Rightful Heir, a Starfleet captain in Deep Space Nine, and an alien ambassador on Voyager.
He's a career man.
Yes.
He started voice work in the 70s with New Adventures of Mighty Mouse, Flash Gordon, Smurfs, and he's done a lot of video games. But the voice work I think he's most well known for was Filmation's Masters of the Universe and portraying Merman, Man-at-Arms, and of course, the evil Skeletor.
He did Skeletor?
Nice.
He's Skeletor.
Merman and Sea Spray.
They share
Same
some
guy.
characteristics.
Shout out to Evil Skeletoys.
Yes.
Go
right.
check it out.
Absolutely.
Follow him. Best
He-
toy reviews ever.
He has interviewed Alan Oppenheimer, actually.
Oh, nice.
several
And that
times.
would
You
be
can-
Evantainment.
who I mean, I'm sure Evil Skeletoys is a totally different person from Evantainment.
No,
but,
they are.
But he
there's a
does it
connection.
under the Evantainment banner.
You
Evantainment publishes Evil
That's right.
Skeletoys'
He's-
work.
right.
And Evantainment has also coincidentally interviewed Alan Oppenheimer.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So check it all out. I think it's all at the TFCon
Yeah.
YouTube presence.
Evantainment.
Well, Evantainment
Evil-
has his own YouTube presence and also publishes a lot of TFCon
Sweet.
videos.
Evil
Check 'em out.
Evil Skeletoys. Check it out.
Then we've got Inferno, voiced by Walker Edmiston, also a screen actor as well as a voice actor. He had an LA-based children's program called The Walker Edmiston Show in the 50s and 60s. But he was on a lot of programs, Dallas, Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons. He was a part of many of the Sid and Marty Krofft productions, including HR Puffin Stuff. In animation, he did Gummy Bears. He played the Kingpin on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Lots of Hanna-Barbera work. For Transformers, he did Inferno as well as Mike.
Is that Ranger Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
And a number of other random flesh creatures. And we've covered Douglas Booth, the writer. He did Roll For It, Fire on the Mountain, Atlantis Arise, City of Steel.
Like most of his stuff, yeah.
Yeah. He does some pretty good episodes.
The outlier being City of Steel, but I think ACOM may have soured me on that one.
City of Steel is still one of my favorites. The alligator made out of optics.
This alligator's big and heavy.
I've got to start to duck out real quick. I got to go get Bro Cells. He spent the night at his friend's house, and I cannot not go get him right now. I will be back.
I'm sure they've got some good business deals.
I'm sure he's selling advertising.
He's wheeling and dealing as we speak.
So, pardon me real quick. I hope to be back by the end of the episode. I will be back soon.
Okay. Bye. You've had to leave for probably less good reasons.
I'm glad he's gone.
In the real world.
Okay.
I'll pay attention to you. Just you and me, buddy.
Good. Insecticon Syndrome aired October 9th, 1985. In the American Top 40, it was Oh Sheila, Ready for the World, which we covered. So, we did that in episode 130. This week, I picked a number one from May 18th, Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me.
Never heard of it.
I do. It is unfortunate Caleb's not here for the music portion, because all I have is just information.
That's okay.
I know I do like this song, though, because it's particularly apropos, as it's the opening song in the Brat Pack film The Breakfast Club, starring Mr. Judd Nelson.
Opening and closing.
Yep. Who played, as we all know, Hot Rod in the movie. The band Simple Minds initially did not want to record it because it was written and composed by Keith Forsey and Steve Schiff from the Nina Hagen Band, though it was written with Simple Minds in mind.
Dude, Simple Minds not ever write their own material?
Well, of that, the brand frontman, Jim Kerr, said, "We are Simple Minds. We don't do songs that sound like Simple Minds. We are Simple Minds. We do our own songs." That was supposed to be Scottish.
I couldn't
It
tell
went
if that
all
was
over.
German, Scottish,
Yeah,
or
it
Russian.
Started Austrian, drifted to the British Isles, and came back to Russia.
Okay.
So yeah, they weren't really keen on doing another band song.
Were they big in Europe, I guess? Because they're a one-hit wonder in the
In
United
America,
States.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll just talk about it.
All right.
So they were number one in the U.S. for 3 weeks with this song. It was the band's only number one hit. It only charted at number 7 in the U.K., but it was on the charts from 85 to 87, one of the longest time spans on in the history of the U.K. charts. So they were the top tier band, but never huge. Go watch The Breakfast Club, everybody.
The song is a banger. I mean,
Yeah, it's
everybody
great.
knows it.
And it's always like
I say a banger. It's not really a banger.
Not really.
It's a ballad. But
It's a ballad,
It's
yeah.
a smash ballad.
and as always, I only I can only experience music as it's referenced to another media, which is a movie.
Well, it does its job.
Yeah, it's great.
It provides emotions.
I can't think of any other Simple Minds songs.
Nope, you can't.
Can you?
Hell no.
All right. There are other ones that are good. I know that when I was reading it on Wikipedia,
Did
I was
anything
like,
else
I
chart
recognize
in
that.
the United States?
Yeah, but never high.
Okay.
Anyway.
That sucks that you could. Was it number one Billboard U.S.?
Yeah, it was number one in May of
That's
1985.
crazy that you can get a number one song and never be able to follow it up.
Yeah, and it's also got a sting that it's the one that wasn't written by you. Number one at the box
They'll
office.
still cash that check, I'm sure.
It still spends.
Get them resids.
Number one at the box office, Commando, which we've extensively covered. So I picked Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
I have this iconic image as a child of seeing a TV guide with Sylvester Stallone in Rambo on the cover of it and not knowing anything about those movies, but just being fixated on it because it just looked so raw and badass. And I was 7. I didn't really know what badassness was, but it just stuck with me. It just looked frightening and cool.
You know what just occurred to me? I used to do cover of TV guides in this segment, and I stopped doing it. I think because we started in season 2, they're like 5 episodes in 1 week. So I just wrote it off to fun, and now I do fun facts.
See if you can find that TV guide because
look
it
it up.
does stick out in my head, and I'm sure that it would have been around this time period.
This was what would become an increasingly bizarre naming convention in the Rambo movies. So this one was Rambo First Blood Part 2, coming off of First Blood, which was 1982. This one in 85. Rambo 3, we've dropped First Blood completely in 1988. Then it's just fucking Rambo in 2008. And then Rambo Last Blood last year in 2019.
What's the rationale for that?
I don't
Because
think
First Blood, he made in the
was the
first
name
Rambo.
of the movie.
It was was it even Rambo?
No, it was just First Blood.
And he says the words First Blood in the movie.
I don't know, because the only one I've ever really seen is number 2.
Oh, I thought, isn't there a part where he's like, they drew first blood? And that is his whole impetus for
Probably right.
killing
That
everybody.
Sounds like that's right. We'll say that's right.
Okay.
Because the first one takes place.
They drew first blood.
Because I think the first
again.
one is just him against some crooked cops.
So, yeah, in a small town. Yeah, he's just a vet that is in the wrong small town and they want to fuck with him.
Yeah. And then this one is what I remember, like, this is the only one I really remember. I don't remember what happened in Rambo 3, but
I've actually never seen any of them.
oh, Rambo 2 is it's enjoyable. I don't know if it's good. I actually talk about that in a little bit. Just for those who don't know, in a nutshell, the movie's about John Rambo, who's a Vietnam vet. He's approached by his old commander, Colonel Troutman, who recruits him to go on a single mission to confirm the reports of American POWs still in Vietnam, necessitated by public pressure. The real mission is that he'll find nothing, and the U.S. government can sweep it all under the rug in the person of Marshal Murdoch, a bureaucrat who orders the abandonment of Rambo and the located POWs once he finds them in Vietnam. And that was a bad decision because Rambo's like, no, I'm coming for you. He says something like that into the microphone.
Is this set?
It's set in 85.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, I mean, and there's
Because that would be weird if it was actually set in the Vietnam War, and so then it has the added weird convention of being in the past,
A prequel?
Yeah.
No, because there has been evidence, and 100% there were POWs left behind, even though the U.S. government says there were no POWs left behind. There were certainly those left behind, and that was a big thing in the 80s of like people would get information about their sons or brothers or whatever being still alive, and they certainly were. But this was kind of like a response to that in fantasy. I would say it's a thoroughly enjoyable and satisfying film, just because the bad guy gets his in the end, and like Rambo rescues the POWs. The producers initially wanted Rambo to have a partner, allegedly John Travolta. But Stallone vetoed the idea, and as he does with all his scripts, he rewrote this, which actually James Cameron got the first pass at the script. But Stallone didn't think that it had enough of the political stuff that eventually ended up in the movie, which actually kind of culminates with the end of the film, where there is this speech that's kind of corny, but it's basically Murdoch asking what Rambo wants because he thinks he's here to kill him, and he's like, I just want my country to love its soldiers as much as they love it. And it's corny, but I thought it worked. I liked it a lot.
I could change.
And you could
change. We all could change.
And Rambo does say that I realize the speech at the end may have caused millions of viewers to burst the veins in their eyeballs, rolling them excessively, but the sentiment stated was conveyed to me by many veterans. So I thought it was nice. On a budget of $25.5 million, it crushed with an visual take of $300.4 million.
Wow.
It's number 1 for 3 weeks in May and June, although it did receive a lot of Razzies and has like a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I maintain it's a fun watch if you just go into it. And it made a video game that I remember renting with you, Aaron.
For the Nintendo?
Yes, the
It
NES
sucked.
Rambo. Yeah, it's very hard.
I remember
And confusing.
hating that game. Yeah, I couldn't figure out what to fucking do.
Yeah, we made very little progress. The mapping system is insane. Like, you seem to go left when you're... I would like. It's one game I don't
Has
have.
AVGN covered that?
Oh yeah, there's a great episode about it. He actually beats it. I haven't played it since I was a kid, and it's not in my library. I need to get it and see if it was as hard as I recall. But it was made for kids, so yes,
I remember it being really frustrating.
It's very confusing.
And not fun from an action standpoint.
No,
either.
because that's the thing. That's one thing that the nerd says in his episode is you don't get any fun weapons until super late in the game. You just have a knife. All right, fun facts from this week in history. On this day, October 9th, 1985, Emilio Gorostanzo Medici, former president of Brazil, died. Bruno Mars was born. So what if they're reincarnated?
Whoa, just like the gunfighter.
Oh, yes, from the Pale Horse.
Yeah. Was that this episode?
That was last
it's
episode.
all running together.
No,
today.
because that was the movie we did. On this week, Lynette Woodward was chosen as the first woman in the Harlem Globetrotters, and the U.S. performed 2 nuclear tests at the Nevada test site. And that was this week in the real world, motherfuckers. Choke on it.
At this point, I'm guessing they're broadcasting every day.
Yes, it's 5 days a week. Yeah, they're all over the place.
How much work did you have to do to prepare for that?
Yeah, and I don't know how much has it to do with like scripts falling out, like when we talk about Flint Dille of like we can't film this one, but yeah, it's weird the order because why wouldn't you go in production order? But
right,
I don't know.
And production order does tell the story more
it's
linearly
linear.
to the degree that is a thread that connects it all together. That's the way to watch it.
It's not like The Tick where like they carved the CHA in the moon, and then in every episode after that. Did you watch that show?
The animated Tick?
Yeah.
We used to watch it all the time,
Yeah,
but I don't know what you're talking about.
Chairface Chippendale in an early episode carved his name with a laser on the moon, but he only got CHA on it. But in
Okay.
every episode after that, when you see the moon, there's a CHA on it. So it's,
Right.
carries, it's a through
Oh,
line.
okay. But sorry, where I thought you were going with that was we see a CHA early on, but we don't get an explanation until later.
No, they went in linear fashion.
Or Venture Brothers. You couldn't
Yep.
watch Venture Brothers out of order.
I think that's a
You'd be
modern.
lost.
Well, this is like meant to be episodic, where you can because
Yes.
they want to get us into syndication, where you can view them out of
And the
order.
audience is very different for both of those shows.
Absolutely.
I still haven't seen all of I assume Venture Brothers is no longer being produced.
I don't know.
That was a show that they would put out a new crop of episodes every 3 years.
Yeah, it was very. There were long portions, even more than Rick and Morty between seasons.
Is that how I've never watched Rick and Morty? That's how that works.
I recommend it.
I've heard it's good.
It's very good. There's only 4 seasons, and it's been on for like 10 years.
That is a Dan Harmon creation,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken.
I will say this is the thing about Rick and Morty. I love the show, and I hate the fans.
I don't know. What are the fans?
Just some of them
known
are
for?
kind of toxic.
Have you ever seen Community?
No.
I'd recommend it. That is Dan Harmon. It was on.
Oh, actually, we did
CBS for a
start
while.
watching that early, but we haven't kept up with it.
I found it to be one of the best comedy shows I'd ever seen. It had a weird run. I think there was 3 or 4 seasons on network television. It got canceled, but continued production on Yahoo. Then I think it actually maybe finished up production on Hulu or Netflix or something. It had a weird history after it
Sounds
got
like-
left off or kicked off
like
of
those
Netflix.
those
Or, I mean,
shows that
network.
like Mystery Science Theater would just go for several networks where they're like,
Yeah.
we like this, we'll do another version of it.
Yeah. At least with Mystery Science Theater, if you've got your core creation team together,
It's true.
you could still make basically the same thing. Somehow the magic was lost. I don't know. I guess it could
I felt
happen.
that way
The same
about
thing could happen on Mystery
The
Science
Arrested
Theater.
Development.
Yeah.
It
That
just
was
didn't.
sad.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was. I'm
think you just
sorry.
lose
I watched
momentum.
it. It's also like sometimes you just can't capture lightning in a bottle, and the way they did
Right.
that is not everybody could film together, and so it didn't feel the same. But
And
Sometimes
Portia
just
de
let things
Rossi
slide.
looked completely different.
she did some things to herself that.
Not that I'm trying to judge her by her physical
Looks.
character. I'm
Sure.
just saying she still looked good, but she looked like a different.
Different.
I questioned that it was her the first 2 episodes.
Really?
I didn't think to look. And yeah, I had to look up the credits and
Yeah, she
make
did
sure
look
she
very
returned.
different.
I was like, she looks a little like.
What
her,
did
but-
Ellen do to that woman?
Oh man, everything coming out about Ellen right now.
Hot topic. Hop
Something-
on an issue.
This is what
Evergreen
the
episode.
listeners. This is what the listeners are tuning in for.
Yep. All right, this was written by Douglas Booth, December 28th, 1984, revised by Ron Friedman, January 4th, 1985. In this one, in the script, there's narration at the top of the episode, which is just as unnecessary as all the Victor Caroli narration. It says, deep in the remote vastness of a national forest, a small band of Autobots and their human friends are on a strange fact-finding mission.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Nope. There's this four-page long scene that's almost certainly cut for time right before the Autobot humans are chased by that huge rolling log, where Shrapnel sends out control waves, which takes control of the human Jeep and chases everybody around, kind of the same way he does later with the auto guns, which is why I think they just cut it. Curiously, the line about being heavy on neutrons is not in the script at all. So maybe it was an ad lib by the actor, or maybe even one that Flint liked whenever they were doing it before they were recording, because it does come back again, in the movie.
Right.
So that was interesting.
Interesting. That's a callback to our Flint Dilley interview where he talked about how he enjoyed letting the actors improvise, and sometimes that stuff was better.
And if there was something he liked, too much to the producer's ire, if he
Right.
wanted them to give it a take,
and
why not
sometimes
use
the
it?
actor's ire, because then he just started to assume that, hey, I like having these guys do a bunch of different takes, and but their
Yeah.
union maybe doesn't like that
Well,
as
also,
much.
well, that they're not really understanding that maybe they have another commitment that they're trying to
Right.
get out for.
Right.
So, yeah. So yeah, like I said, there's nothing in the script about that weird scene where Ironhide's arm panel pops off. Not even a little bit. Inferno has a line just after the bit about finding an antidote for the Insecticons' impending exploding, where he says, "Why bother? I can think of worse things than a melody of exploding Insecticons." And I'm like, yeah, why bother? But not even in the script does anybody answer him. So not even in the script do they even give it a line of like humans. That's why. I don't know. Sadly, in the script, it does say that Megatron transforms on his own, so Prime can fire him, but I prefer to imagine otherwise.
Either way, Prime doesn't need to cradle in his
And
arms
turn
like
him
he's
around?
walking under the threshold with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. And then we talked about how, in the Plague of Insecticons, they just chose not to animate it as complex as it was, trying to put Shrapnel back together. But so that's a script deviations.
Rating it. You like it already.
I love this episode. Again, I say this is probably top 5 for me so far.
I can't agree with you as much on the story points because it doesn't tie together well for me. I mean, I liked it. I thought the animation was great, but the Decepticons are going to recruit the Insecticons, whom they hate and will murder as soon as they're done with them.
Short-sighted.
What they really want is this computer program, but they're going to have the Insecticons go and get powered up, and then go. The insinuation to me was that they were going to have the Insecticons infiltrate that place, get the information, then give it back to them, and none of that really happens.
They have them infiltrated, but they get Soundwave in there to get the information. Like basically, they just need the power. Like they can't power up. The Decepticons cannot power themselves up off of the power from the Nova Core.
I get that they have the specialized ability to convert biomaterial to energy.
I don't think it's even that.
But this isn't even biomaterial that they're getting connected to.
I don't think it's that. I think they have the ability to convert any kind of anything into energy. And so they need the Insecticons to do that to get more powerful enough.
The point is it's an energy that normal Decepticons can't fuck with.
Yes.
But they need it. They need that specific energy to get into the... why don't they just go straight to Iron Mountain?
Because they have to power up the Insecticons.
But why do they need to power up the Insecticons?
Because they're not strong enough to take Nova Mountain or to take Iron Mountain without it. So it could have been the Nova project could have been anything. It doesn't matter. That's immaterial. It could have been any kind of energy that's really super powerful.
Right.
They just needed to power up the Insecticons to penetrate Iron Mountain because they couldn't get into it themselves.
But there's no indication that the power that the Insecticons used to take over Iron Mountain was actually a specialized form of energy that they got from the Nova plant.
Yeah, it could have been anything.
No, what I'm saying is it could have also been nothing. Bombshell just does something that makes the turrets turn in on themselves.
Well, that's shrapnel.
Or shrapnel, yeah.
But no.
Is that what is different about the energy they received from Nova? I get that they're bigger and stronger, but it's not like they use that bigger, stronger strength to bust into the impenetrable.
I think that's what the implication is.
But they didn't do it.
But they do.
But they didn't.
But they got in there. They penetrated the metal. I think the implication is they couldn't get through it without that.
They didn't eat through it.
They busted through it. They did eat through it. This
I'll have to
doesn't
go back
matter.
and look. Agree to disagree for
They
now.
did. You see it. You see a bunch of cord out chewed like through the blast shields. They chewed through them. Right there.
But you don't know that they chewed through it.
There's a scene actually where I think they do.
Wow.
I don't even know where we were.
Oh, we're at the end. We're done.
No, I'm saying was that
we're just goofing.
rate the scheme?
That was rating the scheme.
Hi.
I'm rating it relatively poor. You're rating it
9
high,
out of 10.
and that's where it is.
If it hadn't been for the treachery, this would have worked completely.
The treachery is another thing that I just don't understand.
It's stupid. That's the stupid part. That's why it doesn't work. The Insecticon plan is a 10 out of 10 for me. Like taking control of all the Decepticons, totally. They almost pulled it off.
I don't have a problem with that. It would have actually been pretty cool if they'd have won. All right, so okay, we can.
I'm the ghost of the iconic moment.
You know, the iconic moment for me is Prime transforming Megatron like a toy.
That's a good one. I have Bombshell popping Soundwave because you hardly ever see anybody get the best of Soundwave.
It's true. You see people get the best of Starscream all the time.
I guess we're done. I love you.
Let's get out of here.
I'll never stop loving you.
Next time on the Autopod Decepticast.
We're going to link up with a mysterious friend from the magical land of Oz, and we're all going to link up with my grandpa, who has an awesome Jurassic-themed park that hasn't opened yet. I'm sure it'll be great. We're going with a paleobotanist, a paleontologist, a lawyer, a chaos mathematician for some reason. So it'll be fun. I hope everybody tunes in.
Life finds a way.
Communicate with the guard.
Get the key.
If you'd like to
Does
support us.
anybody get that reference? You win a no prize. if you-
Nobody will get that, but just know it's connected to Jeff Goldblum. And
A lot of people, sexual awakening, Mr. Jeff Goldblum.
my mom was into him.
My girlfriend was very into him.
Your current
Yes.
DTFJG?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Even today's JG?
Yeah.
I mean, he's held it together pretty well.
And
And he's a charming son of a
yeah,
bitch.
he's a sex symbol.
If you'd like to support us, you can have Jeff Goldblum come be a part of our podcast. We definitely have him sit in as a guest host. But other than that, there's the Patreon merch at the APDC store, which you can find at autopoddecepticast.com, Patreon at patreon.com/APodDcast. But other than that, please keep listening. Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, tune in, leave us a review. And follow us on all of our socials. We got the Twits, we got the Facebook, we got the
I'm
Instagram.
going to put up all kinds of pictures of edible arrangements
Pineapples carved to look
From-
like yellow roses.
from the yard. I will say, just watching this now, Aaron, you may be a little right. Soundwave cut through the wall, not the Insecticons. So
I
we're just
missed
gonna
that. That's
pretend like
very
that
noble of you
didn't happen.
to admit that because I wasn't paying attention.
Anywho,
And all of the social medias are at APodDcast. Look forward to chatting.
hey, bye.
Bye. Great episode.
Good episode.
I should leave this.
All right, guys. I'm back. All right. Whew. All right. All right, here we go. Where are we? Guys? Guys?
Broom Cells is the sponsor of Autopod Decepticast. Yes, 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 yes.